Hey everyone, can you see my screen? If you can, just drop a +1 in the chat. Let me quickly introduce myself. At the Institute of Advanced Studies, Beihang University, I'm an assistant professor. I specialize in AIGC and Hansen AI big data applications. Today's talk is aimed at researchers, but it's not just for them. Industry pros are welcome too. Let me quickly run through who this is for. First up, students. They're in the thick of writing papers right now. Now, about writing papers. While we typically divide them into humanities and STEM, it's worth noting that even in humanities, publishing is becoming increasingly challenging for the average student. As a result, many humanities papers are now embracing quantitative methods. STEM papers, on the other hand, are typically a bit more complex. These papers go beyond standard quantitative analysis, incorporating diverse modeling techniques and other advanced methods. Beyond these challenges, students today are feeling increasingly anxious. The papers we're writing seem to be getting more and more intense and demanding, from scholarships to grad school admissions. Everything hinges on your publications. So how can we write papers more efficiently? It's a real headache for students, who are the first group affected by this. The second group facing this challenge? Teachers. As a young faculty member myself, I know we face two major challenges: publishing papers and securing research projects. New strategies have emerged in the current academic landscape. In fact, these new academics face significant challenges with their papers. For instance, manuscript submissions seem to face various types of rejections. The rejection rate for domestic journals is notably high. Many researchers now target international publications, particularly in SCI, SSI, and other prestigious international indexes. However, when we consider the situation of young faculty members, we find they're under immense pressure due to performance evaluations. For instance, the fast-track promotion system puts enormous pressure on them. Universities typically require that within 3 years, faculty members must publish a specific number of core academic papers. These could be in journals indexed by SCI, SSI, and other similar prestigious databases. So there's a lot of pressure, How can we churn out papers quickly? This is the first hurdle they have to overcome. And the second? Writing research proposals. I bet everyone's been on edge lately. Why? Well, it's that time of year again. March is crunch time for national science grant proposals. It's a real pressure cooker. Everyone's freaking out with the deadline looming. My proposal has so many parts to it. Like the literature review, for instance. I've poured hours into just that one section. I spent my entire Chinese New Year break on this. In this situation, how can I effectively free myself from time-consuming tasks, for instance, and focus on core research? How can I concentrate on writing about research approaches and other key sections? Who's the third target audience? It's the industry professionals. For these professionals, we might need to write research reports. Some companies have innovation centers or research institutes. They publish white papers and blue papers for public access, among various other reports. Within these research projects, AI can actually be used to effectively conduct the relevant research. We can also use the tools we're discussing today for this purpose. Speaking of today's tools, they come with some great perks for all of you. So what are these perks, you ask? Let me show you the first perk. I'm starting with this because it takes some time for you to receive the reports. About half an hour or so. You should all have it now. This will make it easier for us in the second half of our session to quickly identify and discuss any issues together. I'll explain everything at once. First, enter the document title. Say, I want to do a research review. A review of large language models. Let me show you how. Large language model. Now I click Generate Report without data. Just enter your email, and the report will be sent to you. I always forget my email address. Enter your email and hit Confirm. It's as simple as that. and you'll get in your inbox a free report on current research trends, both local and global. And yes, it's totally free. Plus, this version doesn't include raw data. Now, you might wonder what I mean by that. Well, we didn't use Chinese academic databases or similar sites to gather information. Instead, our source is Archive. Archive is a comprehensive English language resource. Archive, an open-source academic platform, hosts a wealth of cutting-edge research papers. These papers are promptly uploaded to Archive, allowing the tool to access this data and automatically retrieve relevant information to generate reports. That's the first tool. Now let's check out our second tool. Since it takes a while to process, I'll give you a quick preview now. I'm concerned about the long wait time. If we run it later, I'm sure you're all familiar with the second tool I want to discuss. It's a popular tool called DeepSeek, and another one called Deep Research. Let's talk about these two tools. First up, DeepSeek. You already know what it can do, so I won't go over that again. Now on to Deep Research. This tool helps you quickly access research reports. In fact, companies like OpenAI have already introduced similar services and more. They've all launched their own deep research tools. Today, we're unveiling our own deep research tool. So what's it capable of? Well, take industry analysts, for instance. They're currently dealing with O3 Mini, specifically XGP's O3 Mini and DeepSeek. When these tools are released, how can analysts quickly get and compare reports on them? That's the real challenge. The software is actually capable of doing this, since I'm currently in a situation where the code isn't too complex yet, and I'm in a rush today. I'll quickly demonstrate the research report's output. Here's how it works. 122. You'll see a report appear on the left. 122. The topic I need to cover is an in-depth comparison of GPOE and DeepSeek IE. Let's see how this comparison turns out. This is fully AI generated. It took an hour to generate beforehand. I was concerned about generating it live, as it might take too long, so I prepared it in advance. At this point, you can also notice an email in the bottom right corner. Regarding this email, we'll explain it in a moment. First, let's check the software output. If it's not clear enough, I'll enlarge it for you. Let's start with GPOE and DeepSeek IE, and their in-depth analysis. As we can see, this study provides language and research context, along with relevant tables, showcasing various metrics and performance indicators. Moreover, it demonstrates the ability to generate relevant parameters. For instance, it compares DeepSeek IE and GPOE across several performance aspects. It also covers model architecture, the tech architecture of various aspects. All of this is generated directly by software, with zero human involvement. None whatsoever. It's all done by software. In just an hour, it generated a complete report on DeepSeek IE and GPOE. The report covers data collection, like where the data comes from. It scraped the data. After data scraping, it conducts comprehensive data analysis. It provides data visualizations. It also offers corresponding features like performance analysis and cost-benefit evaluations. All of these are generated automatically. We'll examine this report in detail later. Now, let me show you something else. An email I've just received. This email was generated using our free version of the original AI summary tool. As I mentioned earlier, we used a tool called RK5 to collect data from the RK5 academic website, and then generate a corresponding report. Once the report was generated, let's take a look at it. we'll download the report. First, let's head to the desktop and open up the document. This is the one I just showed you. It was generated in just 5 minutes. A research review on large language models. In this regard, you can actually skip this part. Let me give you a quick rundown. Feel free to try it out after the session. I'll share the website you'll need. It functions like a typical website. Here's how it works. You just enter your email, and it generates the content for you. That's the gist of it. Okay, it's getting close to 7:30 now. We should wrap up. Now let's dive in and explore today's key topic. We're zeroing in on scientific research, making it as easy as chatting with a friend. So how do we pull this off? We'll break this down into 3 parts. First, its capabilities. Second, the how-to. Third, its effectiveness. Let's start with what this tool can do. We've already touched on DeepSeek and deep research. We've got a basic idea now. When it comes to deep research, it essentially acts as an agent, managing the entire process from data collection to visualization. Once this process is complete, it produces a full report. This comprehensive report is divided into several sections. The first section covers data collection. The second deals with data processing. The third focuses on data analysis. And the fourth covers data mining. The fifth module focuses on data visualization. When it comes to data collection, we can gather data from various sources, such as websites, including QA platforms like Zhihu, mainstream media sites, and academic databases. Social media platforms are also rich data sources, such as TikTok, Weibo, and Kuaishou. All these platforms offer valuable data that can be collected. Now let's look at how our data collection methods have evolved. It can be done using platforms like Weibo, Locomotive, Octoparse, these tools to gather data. However, nowadays data collection can be done directly by AI. After collecting the data, we move on to data processing. For data processing, there's a specific agent. For instance, this agent it can perform data cleaning, data integration, data transformation, and feature engineering, among other processes. Once processed, the data becomes structured. With this structured data, we can perform data analysis. This analysis is also carried out by an agent that assists with the process. For instance, if I want to analyze this data, conduct relevant correlation studies, strategic response analysis, distance analysis, these are all fine. Fourth, data mining. Can anyone tell me where that sound is coming from? I didn't hear anything on my end. Alright, next up is data visualization. This visualization part is actually of great interest to many students. There are various aspects that catch our attention, like statistical graphs, for instance, heat maps and stuff like that. Now today we're going to focus on 4 specific models. First up is DeepStack IE. Second, OpenAI O3 Lily. I don't use WeChat. I'm not logged into WeChat right now, and my WeChat is switched off anyway. Moving on, the third is Cloud 3.5. And finally, Cami 1.5. What sets these 4 apart? Let's start with DeepStack IE and OpenAI O3. You're probably familiar with these 2 already. They're both large language models focused on reasoning. Moving on to the third one, Cloud. Cloud really took off in 2024. It was widely seen as a serious rival to OpenAI. 2024 also saw another rising star. Enter Cami. Cami stood out for a couple of reasons. First, its focus on ambient computing. Second, its powerful data extraction features. So today we're going to compare these 4 methods. Let's start with the Huachong data collection method. Now, how do we go about collecting this data? As I mentioned earlier, our traditional data collection methods differ from what we use now. In fact, our data collection methods have evolved significantly. For instance, in this presentation, I've used 2 types of prompts. These prompts can be customized to suit your personal style, of course. In this case, we're focusing on the first type of prompt. Let's say you need to complete 2 tasks. First, I'll feed it the website's source code. I'll give it the entire source code. Once that's done, I'll have it extract specific information, like mentions of Circle in 2025. It'll then filter and select relevant URLs, compiling them into a list. After completing this task, I'll then ask DeepSeek to write a script. Based on these steps, it'll use the list of URLs to extract content from each site. Now, at this point, we can evaluate the task performance. Let's see which models excelled. The top performers are highlighted in red. First up is DeepSeek, followed by OpenAI o3 Mini. These two showed excellent results. On the other hand, Cloud 3.5 and Cami 1.5 didn't perform as well. We've highlighted the top performers in red for easy reference. Before we dive in, I want to clarify something. The results we're about to discuss are influenced by various factors, including data size and test conditions, AI's inherent randomness, and other variables. So keep in mind that these results are just for reference. Don't base your decisions solely on them. Now, from what we've tested so far, these two models perform relatively well. What stands out about DeepSeek is, after it gathers the data, you'll find the data collected is pretty accurate, and it rarely misses any information. Now, regarding OpenAI o3 Mini, what's special about it? Well, it can operate efficiently, but occasionally it returns no data. Keep in mind, this happens only sometimes, not every single time. You see, for AI models like this, each run is like rolling the dice. You won't always get the same outcome. Now, moving on to the second prompt, I've shared my data collection prompts with you all. For instance, the first prompt is for creating a Python web scraper. It's designed to extract titles and links from a specific website. However, here's the catch. You'll see that the scraper runs your command, but it comes up empty-handed. So what's going on? Well, the scraper is clueless about which specific tags to target on the web page. You see, the web page is packed with various tags, and each data type has its own unique format. We need to locate the original code to specify our requirements. I need to extract titles and links from specific tags. In this scenario, I can go ahead and scrape the data. If we encounter encoding issues, we'll need to rely on AI to interpret it. I'll need the data in UTF-8 format. Also, if I want to save this data, I can create a new document on the desktop. I'll simply save the results in that document. That's how this data collection works. However, we've noticed something interesting. Let's discuss why Cloud 3.5 and KB 1.5 aren't performing as expected. Their results are underwhelming. So what's causing this? Well, it's mainly due to Cloud 3.5. It lacks consistency in performance. When gathering data, it frequently returns empty results. On the other hand, KB shows impressive data processing and extraction capabilities. It successfully retrieves all URLs. The code can also create local files. But there's a problem. The extracted data often comes up blank. That's another issue with it. Let's look at some conclusions. There are 3 main points. First, there's DeepSeek, i.e. and OpenAI's o3 and Cambian. All 3 can query URLs online. Then there's Cloud 3.5. This feature isn't supported at the moment. However, all 4 models can filter URLs based on uploaded web page code, effectively curating web addresses. In general, they're quite reliable and do what you expect. Regarding the third aspect, when it comes to web crawling tasks, both DeepSeek IE and OpenAI perform as expected, and there's something unique about it. When it comes to o3, these are the fastest options available. Many have already implemented o3. However, people are noticing that o3's efficiency is, if we consider, I believe. As for the audio, In my opinion, this one works pretty well. Let me switch to the PowerPoint. About the reported audio clarity issues. We're not entirely sure why either. Our volume is already at its maximum. Overall, we can observe that the first two samples perform best, while the last two don't perform as well. The second test is about file data reading. File data reading. In this section, we can add relevant prompts. In these prompts, for this prompt, as you can see, I've uploaded some data. This dataset contains information from a particular sector in 2025 with relevant details. Now, I'll have the AI read this file and organize the data into tables as specified. You'll notice that DeepStack IA and OpenAI's O3 Mini produce different results. It's evident that DeepStack IA performs better. Its results are noticeably superior. It extracts information more thoroughly and comprehensively. I actually have a phone with me. It's not very clear, is it? But it's crystal clear on my end. Can you see this on your end, host? Can our live stream team see this? On my screen here, everything looks perfectly clear. But the live stream seems blurry. Can you hear me, host? I can hear you. It looks like the screen's a bit fuzzy. Any idea why? It's crystal clear on my end, though. You're right, it's not that sharp for me either. All right, let's do this. We're short on time to fix it. So here's the plan. Missy Jing. We'll get the tech team on it. They should be here soon. Sounds good. Let's try to sharpen up the screen a bit. Even a little improvement would help. All right. Now take a look at this. When it comes to file reading, we've clearly made some progress. Two items are in red. First, DeepSync IE, which is highlighted. Second, Cloud 3.5, also highlighted. So what's the significance of these? The red-marked ones are top performers. As we've previously discovered, various AI models excel at different tasks. Their effectiveness can differ significantly. Take Kami, for instance. Comparatively speaking, its overall capabilities might not be particularly impressive. However, in one specific area, it absolutely shines. I'll reveal more about this shortly. So where does it really shine? When it comes to data retrieval, Cloud 3.5 and DeepSync IE stand out. These two are particularly impressive in their performance. The findings show that both of these models excel at data retrieval tasks. They produce logically structured tables with clear data metrics. Once the tables are generated, you can easily copy or download them. Let's move on to the third task. This task focuses on text data integration. This is where things get interesting. Why is that? Because we classify the data into two categories. First, we have standard text. Second, we have what we call long-form text. Now, regarding long-form text, it's worth noting, some texts can be extremely long, reaching up to 200,000 characters in some cases, a staggering 2 million words. In this situation, Most ACE can't handle this. Quickly spotting data irregularities. When it comes to the AI-03 Mini, the AI-03 Mini, on the other hand, it's incredibly fast. It can quickly generate accurate data analysis results. However, there's a catch. It doesn't notice. It missed a key anomaly in the data. Has the sound cut out again? Now, regarding the data analysis version, let's check out two more AI models. First up is Cloud. Then we have Cloud 3.5. And finally, Cami. Looking at Cloud and Cloud 3.5, we can see that their conclusions aren't fully formed. That's what we get from Cloud. Next up, Cami. When it comes to Cami, it excels at analyzing crucial metrics such as survival rates. However, its feature extraction capabilities aren't as comprehensive as they could be. It handles surface level and shallow data analysis adequately, but its overall analytical power is the weakest. So what's the conclusion? Well, here's what we found. Out of these four ACE, we've discovered that DeepStack IE and OpenAI's models, the O3 Mini's data analysis capabilities are on par with these. These two models outperform the other two. In terms of analyzing tour guide data, they can accurately capture the necessary depth of analysis and establish correlations between metrics. Their logic is also relatively clear and rigorous. In this section, when put to the test, the other two AIs performed slightly worse. Moving on to the data mining section. Now let's look at data mining. Here are the tasks. First, load the 2025 movie release dataset. Second, perform deep analysis and data mining. You can see the prompt here. With this prompt, it's asked to complete the tasks. Here's something unexpected. KB 1.5 outperforms in data mining. I'm surprised by this too. I initially assumed Cloud 3.5 would outperform the others. However, after conducting tests, KB 1.5 proved to be slightly better. This came as a bit of a surprise. You might wonder why we didn't test OpenAI's O3 Mini. It's due to attachment upload limitations. Our dataset is quite substantial, making it impossible for O3 Mini to handle. So for this part of our analysis, we evaluated the three AI models mentioned earlier. Next, in the realm of data visualization. Now, in data visualization, we were given a task to create a preview based on Titanic data, analyze the segmented data, and visualize it in a chart. For this task, OpenAI O3 Mini significantly outperformed other AIs. In other words, for visualization tasks, don't think twice. Just go with O3 Mini. It delivers the best results by far. Plus, it can create pretty complex charts. When it comes to deepfake IE though, it combines data sample analysis results to offer a variety of visualization options for charts. However, if you're looking to get the chart directly, that's not possible. Now about Cami 1.5. It's designed to assist you with data is occasionally omitted. This practice is outdated. When data is left out, what are the potential consequences? Academic misconduct. Lastly, let's discuss Cloud 3.5. Cloud 3.5 lacks visual chart generation. Code must be run locally. Now, let's summarize data applications. When writing papers, many modern research papers. Another aspect to consider is research reports. They're all data-centric. When dealing with data-centric tasks, we need to find the most suitable AI for our needs. Among these four AIs, we've seen that for different tasks, each has its pros and cons. Take DeepSeek IE, for instance. It excels at reading data files, capturing information comprehensively, complete and intact. Its data analysis is thorough, with clear logic. Web crawling tasks. It excels in this domain. It's quite good at data mining too. However, for data visualization, it performs poorly. As for the second AI, the second AI is OpenAI's Osamali. This AI is particularly good at. It's absolutely brilliant at data visualization. Next up is data analysis. Now, when it comes to web crawling, it did okay in my previous tests. But with this new data, we might see some hiccups. The performance depends on a bunch of things. Like, say, the way we phrase our prompts, or the testing setup, stuff like that can all make a difference. And then there's data mining, right? Well, you see, it's probably a bit more complex, However, in this specific task, it didn't go so well. You see, when it comes to AI, it's a bit like playing a game of chance. Each time it performs a task, you get different results. Moving on to the third point. It's about cloud AI. This cloud-based AI. In this particular area, when we look at the data, we notice it has a pretty solid logical structure. When it comes to the metrics you're analyzing, it's quite clear-cut. But here's the thing. Take, for instance, the metrics it analyzes are well-defined. However, there's a catch. While the metrics are clearly defined, when it comes to data mining and analysis, it's a bit on the shallow side. As for creating visual charts, it's not without its problems, though. Let's move on to Cami 1.5, shall we? Now, about Cami. It's like a star pupil excelling in a specific area. So what makes it stand out? Well, it's all about handling regular text, particularly texts with a whopping 2 million tokens. When it comes to such massive texts, where other AIs throw in the towel, Cami steps up to the plate like a champ. Its file data reading capabilities are incredibly useful here. It can instantly fetch the relevant URL links. When it comes to web scraping, it's not as strong as other areas. We often run into coding issues. Data analysis can be tricky too. However, in this field, we've discussed how each AI has its pros and cons. These differences, though, are worth explaining a bit more. They actually change depending on the task at hand. So let me share an idea with you. It's all about combining strengths and working together. So what exactly does that mean? As we've discussed, each AI has its unique pros and cons. So what if we combine AIs that perform exceptionally well in specific tasks? What happens when we use them together? Wouldn't that give us much better results with less work? In this case, we need to pinpoint each AI's strengths. Take DeepSeek and OpenAI for instance. What are these two good at? Data collection, right? Together, they cast a wide net for gathering data. What does this mean? DeepSeek IE excels at precise data extraction and filtering. OpenAI OSA melee, It can offer extra data to fill in the gaps. These tasks complement each other, you see. It excels at data collection tasks. The second point is data pre-processing. Now, about the processing, right? You've just seen how these AI tools compare. Because of Cloud and DeepSeek. Now, Cloud and DeepSeek, these two AIs in particular, they're actually quite good at text extraction, you see. It's actually pretty reliable, So, given this situation, it guarantees thorough data processing. The third component focuses on data analysis. So, what's the ideal AI combo for data analysis? It's DeepSeek combined with Cami. Here's why: DeepSeek IE handles deep analysis and transmission verification. Now, about Cami 1.5. As I was saying earlier, it's got two big things going for it. First, it can handle extremely large datasets. So when you're dealing with big data files, Cami can handle the reading and integration. The second thing is, it helps pinpoint patterns in your data. Fourth, it visualizes the data. Now, in this part, we'll see which AI gives us the best results. So what did we find? Right now it's OpenAI combined with Cami and Cloud. These together seem to work pretty well, actually. I can leverage OpenAI for this purpose. OSA Mini can directly generate various charts. It offers code support and optimizes logic. This combination excels at creating visual presentations. Even if you just use OpenAI alone, you can still achieve great results. Well, my colleague just pointed out that there's a small problem. He said the audio from my WeChat and QQ is coming through. I can't hear anything on my side though. I've turned mine off as well. I'm not sure why this is happening either. Well, anyway, let me continue. If there are any issues, significant problems, please refer to the slides as much as you can. If I'm not quite clear on this part, I'll try to be as detailed as I can. So, let's explore another application module of DeepSeek IE. Its features include, as I mentioned before, it excels at processing Chinese data. Its processing power is exceptional, offering high performance at low cost. Pretty impressive, right? It's also great at data analysis, code generation, and creative writing. This is because its dataset, more than 60-70% of the data is in Chinese, you know? That's why you see lots of people online messing around with it. You can't help but be impressed by its Chinese language skills. But how do I go about researching this? How can I apply the data to this area of research? So we've come up with a few ideas. You might find these helpful, like customized services, right? First off, it's pretty cheap, isn't it? It's really perfect for open source stuff. It's a perfect fit, really. On top of that, take financial risk prediction, for instance. It's all about finance, you know? So this area has a real competitive edge. Right? Now, when it comes to OpenAI, particularly in O3 Mini's data applications, there's one standout feature you see. It's incredibly fast in responding, and it's super efficient at analyzing data. It also excels at formatted output. For aspiring programmers, inference speed is often a key concern. The O3 Mini excels in this area, handling complex data recognition with ease. It's particularly advantageous in this aspect. It also visualizes multi-source and interactive data fusion. We've touched on these points before, providing you with relevant parameters. Mom, now how do we approach the second part? We've covered what can be done. Let's move on to how. So what's the next step? Well, how do we go about this? To start, we've launched a software for in-depth research. This software is available for everyone to use free of charge. Our team has poured their heart and soul into developing this software. We've now made our AI review tool available to everyone for a free trial of the full version. Let's break down the different versions we offer. First up, we have the basic version. Now, the basic version doesn't come with images. Next, we have the enhanced version. Surprisingly, the enhanced version doesn't include images either. Second, it doesn't distinguish between domestic and foreign studies. The basic version doesn't make this distinction either. Now, the third one is the Pro version. This Pro version is really something special. So what makes it so great? It can categorize sources as domestic or international. Plus, it generates relevant charts and graphs. As for the bibliography section, it follows all the proper formatting rules. It works perfectly in any situation. The results are truly impressive. Feel free to give it a shot, everyone. I've got a Baidu NetDisk link for you here. There's also a code you can use. Everyone can scan this code to give it a try. Let me quickly walk you through it. This is the version you should be seeing. AI Academic Beta Leaderboard. I'm opening it now. So how do we use this? You'll find video tutorials at the bottom. Detailed tutorials are available for everyone. So I'm going to skip the data collection step. Let me walk you through this directly. I'll show you how to use this tool. Specifically, we'll cover how to import data and generate results. Let's say I input data here. We'll use 20 entries of English data, okay? This is just for demonstration, you know. So we're using a small data set here. Now, about those data levels the professor asked about. These are the relevant parameters for that. And here we've got parameters for generating graphs. The parameter above is for text generation. So once I've imported the data, as you can see, there's a progress bar here. It's tracking the data import progress. Now I'll just click on the English graph option. Don't worry if you don't have an Apple mic. I recommend using the messy version, it's definitely compatible. Older versions might not be compatible though. As you can see, we now have an English language graph here. Let's say you want to tweak this graph. For instance, to change the number of clusters to 6 expert opinions. I'll simply input 6 here. As for the minimum cluster size, you can find all these parameters explained in the video tutorial, by the way. I'll skip the detailed explanation for now. Now, when you import the Chinese data, I've imported 20 data entries. Regarding this imported data, you can find it in the video tutorial. The process of downloading and importing this data wasn't covered in detail during our live stream due to time limitations. You can check out the tutorial for more info on that. Next, click on the Chinese knowledge graph. Once you do that, it'll appear on your screen. Finally, go ahead and click on the intelligent summary. It'll take around 5 minutes, alright? Then it'll generate a comprehensive summary for you. It's currently free for everyone to use. This is the full version, you know. Just a heads up, since it's free to use. We're using the GLM version, okay? Why? Well, it's free, you see. You see, I can't really afford it if everyone starts racking up costs, you know? But don't worry, this GLM version works really great too. Alright, we're at 41% now. I'll walk you through this real quick. Let's go over what these options mean. The Combine Sources option needs to be selected beforehand. If you tick this box, you'll see that the report doesn't separate local and foreign research. It's all merged into one section. That's why it's called Combined Sources. But right now we're keeping them apart, which is pretty useful actually. Let's say you're writing about basic topics like family and stuff. You actually write about these topics separately. Now about the number of aspects. How many focus areas are there? For example, I might have a few main categories. And within each category there are several specific points. So, let's say we have 3 main categories. These are our broad categories. And these are our specific points. What about the number of questions? They'll correspond to what's in the final report. What are the key issues in international research? And what about domestic research topics? It'll give you all that info, you know? A nice overview. The final output format is really great. Uploading, let me explain something to you guys. Remember that URL I shared at the beginning of the stream? That link takes you to the original online version. First off, this online version is totally free. And second, you don't need to input any data. Simply input a title and it'll generate a report for you. It's super easy. There are only 2 steps. First, enter the title. Second, input your email to get the report. It's that simple. So what if you want to customize it? Well, let's say in your report, you want to include specific sources, like some from Chinese academic databases, or posts from Weibo, a Chinese social media platform. When you need to use these specific sources, let's import the desktop version now. As you can see, it's already been generated. Now this version here is being streamed live, completely unedited. No human editing whatsoever. Take a look, folks. I'm going to start a live stream. Let's name the stream Okay, saving it to the desktop. It's saved to the desktop, see? And here's the document. Now we have a document here. At this point, we can see what we've just done. It took less than 5 minutes. Actually, just 3 minutes to generate a report. Over 8,000 words. That's right, 8,000 words. First, the current state of research. The status of international research. It includes information about Weibo. It collected 17 English research papers. Okay, it covers 3 research aspects. What are the key points in each aspect? These are all the results we've got. The second part covers the current state of research in China. Regarding the research situation in China, you can see the breakdown of research contributions here. This graph illustrates that point. Next, we'll look at various aspects of the research. Each aspect has its own specific focus areas. All of this was generated in just about 3 minutes. And the format is perfectly structured too. Now let's move on to a quick summary. In this summary, so we've got 2 main categories here. First, we have issues from international research. These are the problems they're tackling abroad. Then we've got the challenges in domestic research. Now for each of these, we're looking at various aspects. Each one comes with its own set of challenges. This is where AI steps in to automatically identify these issues for us. And I'd say it's doing a pretty good job summarizing them too. So these are the key issues we're looking at here. Next up, we'll help you organize the references. We've organized the reference format for you. Here's the desktop version we're looking at. Now about the software I'm using. It's the software that generated this report. It's the full version you can now get your hands on. Omitted for brevity. Let me give you another look at this software. This here is the desktop version. Here's a shared link to download it from Baidu's cloud storage. Also, we've included a QR code for you to scan. Now, I've received a question from some of you. It's about something else I mentioned earlier. I talked about a free online version. So, what's this free online version all about? Let me show you. Here's the online version. This is what I was talking about earlier. If you don't need customized data, you simply enter a title, and you'll get a report. That's how the system generates it. For instance, I'll generate a review on large language models. So after talking about the research review, I just need to click Generate Report without data. Then you put in your email and hit Confirm, okay? Now it'll start generating your report. Go to your email inbox and you'll find the generated report. It takes about half an hour, give or take. You'll get the review report in your inbox. This is the online version we just saw. It sources data from Archive, an open-source academic site. And it's super quick too. So we're dealing with two different software programs here. What do we do with them? Let me walk you through the next steps. Given that today's stream might not be ideal, I'll stick to covering parts 1 and 2. Regarding the third part, if you're interested, you can review the PPT slides I'll share later. Moving on. Let's examine the specific instructions. Say I want to write a complete paper. What commands should I use? Let's start with the first example. It's about writing article titles, you know? Here's a relevant prompt for that. Say I want you to play the role of an academic journal editor. Then give me 5 solid English titles for research papers. And break down what makes a title good. So that's the kind of format we're looking at. I tell it to output in Markdown format. Here's where DeepSeek comes into play. It generates an output, see? Giving titles in both English and Chinese. Alright, there you have it. So what's next? Now for the second instruction. It's a different type of command. This command involves both Chinese to English and English to Chinese translation. You provide the original text for both translation directions, right? Then you also give the translated version. That's all I need for the instruction set. And we're good to go. First column, original text. Second column, translation, got it? In this kind of setup, when I typically ask for the output, let's present the output in a table format. Right. The third instruction is for polishing Chinese academic writing. What's the original sentence? And the improved version? Then I'll provide an explanation. It's all good. Let's stick to this instruction. Regarding the link, can you pin the software link in the comments? Let's check. We can do that. Pin the link in the comments. Oh, this is for academic writing, you know? I'd prefer the results in a markdown table. I did post a comment, didn't I? I really don't know at this point. Well, first off, everything looks fine on my end. 1. I did post a comment. 2. The Tencent meeting stream is working fine. And 3. There's the audio issue. I'm practically shouting over here. If it's really okay. Next up is a prompt for refining academic English writing. Since today's lecture leans a bit more towards research. So if you guys find research pretty tough, Feel free to pick and choose what to listen to. I'll try to wrap this up quickly. The third prompt improves paragraph logic and coherence. With this prompt, we'll have both the original and revised texts you see. You can also get this from the instructions. Next, there's a one-click fix for punctuation errors. Then there's writing to reduce plagiarism. Right. And there's also matching literature interpretations with images. Now about this paper. I submitted it to IEXS a while back. It's an old paper, actually. I asked it to look at a figure from a paper in that journal. You know this figure. And give me the title. Next up is the figure's caption. I asked the AI as a field expert to interpret it for me. To explain what the figure represents. It then gives a full breakdown of the figure. I had it review the text interpretation. And it was, well, pretty spot on. Yeah. Next, an instruction for paper references. This reference instruction includes the original and revised text. With these two versions, you can also use this command to do it. It helps everyone fix up their references. Now that we have this AI software, it's super easy for everyone to generate these. It's become really simple to generate. You can actually skip this command now. As for me, when using commands, I don't always stick to specific formats or commands. Often it's about figuring out your own way of using commands. So what's your go-to method? Oh, and there's another command for data analysis. Here you're asking it to create 10 different visualization charts, right? How do you get it to make those charts? And then there are other common English commands, you know? Like these commands come with descriptions, right? What kind of stuff are we talking about here? It gives you the commands and descriptions right here. What about other Chinese commands? It can give you those too. How well does it work? Now this section. How should I put this? The image quality might not be the best on your end. It looks clear on my screen though. However, you might find the text too small. I've already shared a link to the original version. In that link, you'll find a free version available. With this free version, you can start by generating some content and see how it works for you. We've also released a desktop beta version for you to try out. Let's give you all some time to test it out. Now about this version, the summary feature is now fully developed. Feel free to give it a try, everyone. Next up, we've included a comparison of its use. As for this comparison, this is the real deal. I'd also recommend the CAS platform. It's entirely free for public use. It's a platform that works well for most students. There's also the research platform from CNKI, a major Chinese academic database. Regarding this CNKI platform, there's kind of a downside to it. It only uses Chinese data. So when it comes to English content, there's simply no data available. So it's really only useful for folks interested in Chinese data. Moving on, there's also something from Stanford University. They've developed a tool called Storm. Now about this tool, I'm sure many of you have heard of it before, right? You've probably heard about it, right? So how well does it actually work? Actually, many content creators have already done some reviews on it. On our end, we've taken a look at 4 different tools and done a thorough comparison. But before we get into it, I want to make something clear. With these kinds of comparisons, results can vary based on personal needs. So in this video, we're not trying to say one tool is better or worse than the others. There's no absolute perfect choice. That makes everyone think some are good or bad. Use whichever suits your preferences. Now about the original content section. As shown, our team developed it in-house. Also, these platforms offer links to their official sites. Feel free to try them out. when comparing user experiences. In terms of ease of use, you might want to check out how user-friendly they are. You'll see various interface options. Overall, you might prefer a cleaner interface. If you're into minimalist designs, you might want to stick with the basic version. But if you're after more bells and whistles, platforms like CAS and Stanford, they're packed with interactive features. Now, on the other hand, this Haiwang platform, it's pretty bare bones too, but with fewer interactive options. Let's look at a multifaceted comparison of summary generation. In this case, we're focusing on comparing just one summary. Now, regarding the summary feature, first off, I'd like to share my thoughts on using it. There are differences between individual AI tools. They vary in certain aspects. Indeed, they're not all the same. For instance, some offer drawing features, others don't. This distinction is pretty clear-cut. However, when it comes to output formats and other such features, it really comes down to personal preference. Next, let's look at accuracy and expertise. We'll compare these aspects. In this comparison, we'll cover data sources, text types, and reference management. For these areas, you'll notice that. Regarding data sources, first let's look at the raw data. It falls into two categories. The first is RK5, which generates content without input data. So all the data comes from RK5 sources. Now for the second type of data, our desktop version uses data collected by users. This collected data comes from two sources, Weibo and the China National Knowledge Infrastructure. So the data sources are entirely authentic and reliable. I mean, totally trustworthy, It's ready for immediate use. Plus, the text types are, quite well structured. And regarding references, it's structured according to, let's say, writing a book or even an academic paper. It completely follows that kind of format, It uses the standard reference citation format. Now, about the other platform, it's got its own perks too. I'd recommend giving it a try sometime. Now, I'm not here to compare platforms. They all have their strong points, really. So what style do people generally prefer? Well, looking at the logic and structure of this section, we've made a comparison here. Keep in mind that user experiences can vary between individuals. This is meant only as a reference point. Now, regarding Stanford, actually, they have multiple versions available. Each version comes with its own set of detailed criteria. The structure actually makes a lot of sense. The CNKI section is the standard. Its main strength is in providing access to Chinese academic literature. Now, about the CAS platform, the quality of its content and structure could use some work, I'd say. But there's one really great thing about it. It's totally free. It's perfect for those who are on a tight budget, This CAS platform has really been a lifesaver for tons of students. Now regarding thoroughness and scope, let's look at this part, shall we? When it comes to learning, that image about AI academics, right? I don't think that's it. I've been switching back and forth. This part about being thorough and comprehensive. How long should the generated text be? What about the research angle? You should all give it a try. And don't forget readability and usefulness. Regarding readability, I tend to focus on proper citation formatting. Another aspect is the auto-generated bibliography. Are they up to standard? Let's look at these two sections. We've made a comparison above. Feel free to check it out. The results are shown here. It's a comparison for this section. Feel free to take a quick snapshot of this. The reason being, this section might contain information related to other platforms. I'm still undecided about making this public, especially regarding full disclosure of this presentation. If the other platforms have no objections, then I'd be happy to share it publicly. Now let's look at an example of generating a literature review. Here's the interface for this example. Let's start with the raw output. And here's the enhanced version. You've all seen the results before. It includes relevant diagrams. You'll find a tally of related publications too. It offers concise overviews of current research trends, plus key references for further reading. Now about individual charts. These AI literature review tools You can all see, right? They come with relevant visuals. These charts merge domestic and international data. Take CSS Base and similar tools for instance. They clearly feature these knowledge graph visuals for summarizing research findings. If you've used CSS Base, you'll be familiar with these types of diagrams. This is an example of the AI review tool from the Chinese Academy of Sciences. The tool categorizes the report by language. It also includes other related content, though not exhaustively. It's available for everyone to use. However, the references might not be as practical. It's just a simple list of references. Regarding the AI review tool from CNKI Research, you can try it, but keep in mind it's relatively expensive. I probably shouldn't mention this, but however, I believe it has its own strengths. It's particularly convenient for Chinese language data. Stanford's version has one minor drawback though. It's only available in English. If you need the final report in Chinese, you'd have to translate it again. That's one of its limitations. Since it's already 8:30, and considering time constraints, I'll just give you a quick overview, without going into too much detail. Let me share some key points. For instance, how DeepSeek made waves in the industry. I'll touch on its future potential as well. What about its inference capabilities? How does it handle data initialization? What are the stages of its progression? How effective is its cost reduction? How well does it optimize strategies? We've compared and analyzed all these aspects. We've also evaluated the test results. The outcomes look promising. Let's talk about local deployment. Local deployment is great for things like research projects. It's also perfect for companies with private data. As for regular users, if you're working with less powerful hardware, you might want to reconsider your options. But here's the good news. DeepSeek, an AI research tool, offers a mining algorithm that you can use within the Larmy search engine. It has some advantages compared to other options. These advantages are mainly when compared to DeepSeek's RE version and its V3 version. It also compares favorably to OpenAI's models, including GPT-4, Meta's language models, and Astral Peak's cloud-based solutions. There's also Baidu's ErnieBot. These companies have various AI models. Let's compare them. These are DeepSeek's potential future directions. Now let's look at the industry impact. What are its effects on different sectors? How is it reshaping market supply chains? There's a focus on tech advancement. What challenges can it address? Plus, new application scenarios. Lastly, let's briefly touch on deep research. Let's talk about the deep research feature, which is actually what I'm most excited about right now. As a researcher myself, I know firsthand that for us, the ability to generate reports with just one click is incredibly appealing. As I demonstrated earlier, this feature isn't available in the current version. It's still in development and not yet released to the public. We call this feature AI reporting. So what can it do? It generates reports at the click of a button. Plus, the reports are on par with OpenAI's standards. You've probably heard of OpenAI's deep research, right? So what makes it special? It uses multiple AI agents to create reports instantly. What's unique about these reports? They're packed with rich, detailed data. And the data is highly accurate with minimal errors. That's what sets it apart. Oops, let me double check the version real quick. Here, I'll pull it up for you. Now, if I use our team's in-house developed tool called Deep Research, what can it do? First, it has various types of agents. What kinds of agents are we talking about? For instance, an information retrieval agent and a data collection agent. The first one finds relevant information online related to my topic. Once it's found, the data collection agent gathers the information, and that's how we obtain the data. I'll have it create the visuals. The agent will draw on its own. If you think the drawing feature isn't enough, we've got another feature. Knowledge boosting. Another perk of local deployment is you can train your own data. In this section, the best part is you can import your private data. It's like having deep research locally. This local version is still in development. We're still ironing out a few kinks. So this feature isn't in public beta yet. It's not publicly available. But let me give you a quick overview. In the future, you'll be able to import text, images, and links. This gives you your own data set. Essentially a locally deployed research tool. Now I can click on the research report. Once I've clicked on it, you can see, for instance, that this section shows 92%. The code's incomplete. I rushed it today. It's a last-minute job. Let me show you. Take 1,234,567 for instance. I saved the doc to desktop. Now you can see it on the desktop. With this document, we get a detailed comparison. It quickly wrote the article for us. GPOE versus DeepSeek R1 in-depth study. When new info like this emerges, writing this research report is quite a task. It's a real-time sync, to be honest. I've got to scour the web for all sorts of info, then list everything out. After that, I have to craft the report myself. It's no walk in the park, let me tell you. Sure, you might say, just use online mode. But even with online mode, the output still needs manual tweaking and fine-tuning. So in the end, it's still a time drain. But with this locally deployed deep research tool, it's a whole different ballgame. So much easier. All I need to do is enter a topic, click a few buttons, and it instantly generates a research report. This kind of research report is incredibly attractive to researchers. It collects all available online resources. Once the data is gathered, it starts with data collection. Then it visualizes the data into charts. After creating the charts, it can even perform comparative analysis. This kind of analysis. The amazing thing now is, even people with no data expertise can use simple one-click operations to instantly create charts. Just like that, they're done. It's super easy. It's completely user-friendly. This actually shows us, from in-depth research, we can clearly see a future trend where anyone can do data analysis quickly and easily. Data analysis isn't exclusive to analysts anymore. It's no longer a specialized skill. Now anyone can do it. With just a simple click, you're all set. You'll get the model's architecture and tech details instantly. All of this is generated in no time. It's all done at lightning speed. This is its key feature. It's designed to achieve what we just discussed. It also includes benchmark testing. And why it's compared to GPSO. The underlying reason is, it's essentially a multi-agent, multitask integration system. So it's interconnected with other agents. That's why we've drawn some comparisons here. Let's look at its potential applications. We'll briefly run through these. For instance, academic research. How it's generated. There's a process involved. And here's the outcome. This is a self-test case for the team. You can download it from the shared cloud folder. Let's examine a current application of deep research. Here's an example of deep research in action. The second use case involves analytical processing. It can be applied to gain market insights, for instance. It also enables intelligent predictions and report generation. Now let me show you a relevant example. I saw a comment from someone who knows deep research pretty well. That makes sense, as deep research is a very recent innovation, and it's truly delivering impressive results. It can generate data reports in just one step. When it comes to data analysis, this skill can be daunting for most people. It's still quite challenging for most people. But deep research streamlines the entire process into one simple step. It allows anyone to quickly dive into data collection, from processing and analyzing data to visualizing it. That's why it's such a valuable tool for our research. You can also find case studies on decision-making here, plus research on various application scenarios. It includes competitor case studies in this field. We've got analysis on the competition too, besides OpenAI's deep research, which is definitely worth looking into. There's also Tencent's VIP service and Google's offering. And of course, our team's own deep research tool. In fact, we're currently in the development phase. Regarding performance, I believe this domestic sector has a promising future ahead. Here's a Baidu NetDisk link for sharing. It compares different versions of deep research. You can find the link here. This link was actually created by our team. Let's explore its potential future applications. You can also see some collaborative cognitive innovations and stuff like that. Regarding this series, since it might be a bit unclear, I'll just give a quick overview. The text isn't too small, relatively speaking. Lastly, let me tell you about the DeepSeek career column. A few days ago, Professor Ciara Mean released the final version of her episode. It's now available for viewing. Scan the QR code to watch. You can also find it on the information research platform. We'll provide a QR code at the end. Use it to book the video. More renowned scholars will follow, including Yu Wenming and Lu Wei. This live session won't be available for replay. I'll compile the slides and share them later. If you're interested, you can find them on our Qianxin Research social media channel. To get them, we'll be streaming live pretty much every day from now on. Make sure to tune into our video channel for more live streams. That's it from me, host. I'm all set. Great, thanks for sharing your thoughts, Professor He. And that wraps up our special DeepSeek live series. Thanks everyone for joining us.